Hey guys, tonight we're staying up way past bedtime because the building's asleep and the clocks are lying. Rain taps the classroom windows like impatient fingers. The fluorescent lights hum that low, tired note they always hit around midnight. And somewhere down the empty halls, a single pair of footsteps keeps pace with my own heartbeat. You probably won't make it to morning after this one. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your city and local time in the comments. I read every single one while the corridors breathe around me. Now, dim the lights, maybe crack open a window for that midnight breeze, and let's walk the halls together. I'm perched on the edge of Mr. Halvorson's old desk in room 204, the one with the wobble that never got fixed. The school smells like wet concrete and pencil shavings tonight, the way it always does after a storm rolls through. I came back because I forgot my laptop charger. Lame excuse, sure, but the second I keyed in through the side entrance, the air felt thicker, like the building inhaled and hasn't exhaled yet. The motion sensors flick on one by one as I move. Click, buzz, click, buzz, a reluctant red carpet of light guiding me deeper. I passed the trophy case, the 1993 state championship photo still crooked, and I swear the reflections lag half a second behind me. Just tired eyes, I tell myself. Room 204 is exactly how I left it at 3 p.m. Chairs in neat rows, my half-erased whiteboard still smelling of dry erase fumes, except for the chalkboard on the far wall. I never use chalk. Nobody has since they installed the smartboard in 2019. Yet there it is, covered in tight, looping handwriting, equations sprawling like ivy. I step closer, shoes squeaking on the waxed floor, and the formulas resolve into something that looks suspiciously like the quadratic I botched on last Thursday's quiz. Only the numbers are wrong. The variables keep shifting when I blink. I reach out, thumb the dust, and the chalk smudges under my skin like it's still wet. That's impossible. The janitors locked the supply closet at 6 sharp, and I watched Mr. Delgado wheel his cart past an hour ago. Curiosity tugs me the way it did when I was 15 and snuck in here to steal answer keys. I drag a finger across the board, and the symbols rearrange themselves into a single sentence. Find what was lost in '87. The year the West Wing flooded. The year they bricked over the old stairwell to the basement. I laugh, a nervous bark that bounces off the cinderblock walls, because urban legends are supposed to stay legends. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught. The rain picks up, drumming harder, and the lights flicker once, long enough for the equations to vanish, leaving only pale streaks where they were. I grab my charger, sling my bag over my shoulder, and head for the door. Behind me, the chalk begins to scrape again, soft as a whisper, writing something new. I don't look back. Not yet. The hallway stretches longer than it should. Lockers line both sides like metal coffins, their vents exhaling cool breath that smells faintly of cafeteria tater tots and teenage panic. My phone says 12:07 a.m., but the wall clock above the water fountain froze at 11:52 the day the battery died, 3 years ago. I pass the bulletin board where the spring fling flyers are already curling at the edges, and I hear it, the faintest strain of music, the same warped cassette version of the fight song that plays over the PA every Friday before first period. Only it's midnight on a Saturday. The speakers crackle, then fall silent. I tell myself it's the storm messing with the wiring. Thunder rolls overhead like a locker slamming shut. I'm halfway to the exit when the overheads cut out completely. Emergency strips glow red along the baseboards, painting everything the color of dried blood. My pulse sinks with the drip, drip, drip from the leaky ceiling tile near the art wing. I fish out my key ring, the one with the little LED fob, and the beam catches on something impossible. Fresh chalk prints on the floor, leading away from 204 toward the north stairwell. Child-sized, bare feet. I kneel, touch the prints, and the dust clings to my fingertips like guilt. The trail stops at the trophy case. Inside, the 1987 championship photo now shows an extra player in the back row, a girl with my face. Only her eyes are scratched out with something sharp. The glass is cold enough to burn. Fear slides in, cool and certain. I back away, sneakers whispering, and the lights snap back on so suddenly my shadow jumps. The chalk prints are gone. The photo is normal again, just a bunch of sweaty teens holding a plaque. I laugh too loud this time, the sound brittle. I need to leave. I need to post this, edit the footage, turn it into content before morning. But the side door I came through is locked from the outside now, the deadbolt thrown. I rattle the push bar anyway, metal clanging like a fire alarm. Somewhere deeper in the building, a classroom door closes with the soft finality of a coffin lid. The chalkboard in 204 is waiting. I can feel it pulling, the way gravity pulls loose papers across a desk when the AC kicks on. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught, but curiosity is a stronger force than fear, at least for the first night. I turn back toward room 204, shoes leaving faint wet prints on the tile, and the hallway lights dim in waves, guiding me like runway markers to whatever wrote that first equation. The lights pulse softer now, like a heartbeat slowing under sedation, leading me back to room 204. My wet prints evaporate behind me, leaving only the faint scent of rain-soaked linoleum, that sharp, chemical tang mixing with the musty paper smell from the stacks of ungraded essays on my desk. I push the door open with my palm, the wood cool and slightly warped from years of humidity, and the hinge creaks like an old announcement speaker clearing its throat. Inside, the chalkboard gleams under the single flickering bulb, wiped clean as if Mr. Delgado had come back for a second pass. But I know he hasn't. His truck's long gone from the lot, headlights cutting through the storm an hour ago. The equations are erased, but the air feels charged, like the moment before a projector clicks on in a dimmed classroom. I drop my bag by the front row, the zipper rasping against the tile, and approach the board again. Curiosity pulls me closer, the same itch that made me volunteer for the night custodian shift back in college, wandering these halls when everyone else was home. The chalk tray holds a fresh stick, unbroken, its tip still powdery white. I pick it up, roll it between my fingers, and the texture is gritty, like sand from the playground blacktop outside. I tap it against the slate, tap, tap, and nothing happens. Then, as if in response, the rain eases outside the windows, moonlight filtering through in slivers that dance across the desks like forgotten homework pages. I set the chalk down and step back, watching, waiting. Overnight, it happens. I don't mean I sleep here, though the thought crosses my mind, curling up under the old flag in the corner like we did during lockdown drills. No, I pace the room, phone timer ticking, and around 2 a.m., the board begins to hum. Not audibly, but I feel it in my teeth, a low vibration like the furnace kicking on in the basement below. The surface clouds over, faint at first, like breath on a mirror, and then lines appear. Not equations this time. Words. A lesson plan scrawled in that same looping script. Today's objective: recall the disappearance of Emily Voss, class of '87. My breath catches, shoes squeaking as I lean in. Emily Voss. I've heard the rumor, whispered in faculty lounges over stale coffee. The girl who vanished during a school assembly, right after the flood sealed off the old wing. They say her locker's still down there, untouched, in the bricked-up basement archive where the original building plans show a sublevel no one talks about anymore. The script continues, detailing her schedule. Homeroom in 204, algebra with Mr. Halvorsen, my predecessor, the one who retired abruptly after 87. Then gym, lunch, and poof, gone. The chalk drags itself across the board now, invisible hand guiding it, the sound like nails on a stairwell railing, slow and deliberate. I watch, transfixed, as it sketches a crude map, the school layout from back then, with the west stairwell marked in red dust that wasn't there before. Realistic anchor. Our school was built in 1952, mid-century modern, with those wide hallways designed for nuclear drills, the kind where kids ducked under desks while sirens wailed from the PA. But the map shows an extra corridor, one that loops back on itself like a time warp, labeled with Emily's last known steps. Fear creeps in then, wrapping around my chest like the cold draft from the vents. The room grows dimmer, the fluorescent hum stuttering as if the power's being siphoned elsewhere. I glance at the window, and the reflection shows not just me, but a shadow lingering by the door. The outline of a girl in an outdated uniform, pleated skirt and cardigan, her hair in a ponytail that sways without wind. I spin around, heart slamming like a locker door, but the doorway's empty, only the echo of my own footsteps retreating. The chalk keeps writing. She waited for the substitute teacher who never came. Mythic element. The cursed substitute, a ghost story passed among students like contraband notes. They say he, or it, appears when the building's empty, teaching lessons from the past, pulling kids into mirrors or under floorboards where the old foundations crack. I rub my eyes, the chalk dust flaking onto my sleeves like dandruff from a forgotten yearbook. The board fills up. Emily's essay on lost time, quoted verbatim, words about hallways that stretch forever and clocks that run backward. I reach out to erase it, palms sweeping in broad arcs, but the letters reform under my touch, warmer now, like skin. Revelation hits like a sudden bell between periods. This isn't random. The board's teaching me, rewriting history I never lived. That same faint music from the announcement speakers earlier filters in again, warped and tinny. The fight song looping on a single verse about victory that never came. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught, especially the ones that demand you relive someone else's ending. The script pauses, chalk hovering midair before dropping to the tray with a clatter that echoes down the hall. I back away, grabbing my phone to record, the screen's glow casting long shadows on the walls. But the video shows nothing, just static where the words should be, like the camera refuses to capture it. Outside, the storm picks up again, rain lashing the glass like accusations. I hear footsteps now, not mine, squeaking toward the basement door at the end of the corridor. The one with the rusted lock that hasn't been opened since the flood sealed it. Emily's map pulses on the board, the red line glowing faintly under the moonlight. I could leave, jimmy the side door with my keys, drive home to warm sheets and forget. But curiosity lingers, mingled with the fear, and the revelation tugs harder. What if Emily's not missing, just waiting? The PA crackles overhead, a voice murmuring attendance. Voss, Emily? Present. The lights flicker, and I move toward the hall, drawn like a moth to the dim glow of the stairwell. The hallway pulls me forward, my footsteps echoing softer now, muffled by the thickening air that smells of damp plaster and forgotten textbooks. The dim glow from the north stairwell spills out like moonlight through cracked blinds, and I follow it, phone clutched in one hand, the screen's flashlight beam jittering across the lockers. Each one I pass seems to whisper, faint scratches inside, like nails on metal, or maybe just the settling of the building after the rain. The PA speakers overhead crackle again, static weaving through the silence, and then a voice emerges, tinny and distant. Attendance for October 15th, 1987. Voss, Emily. Here. The list continues, names rolling out like a roll call from a dream. Kids who graduated decades ago, their voices layered under the announcer's monotone. I freeze mid-step, shoe soles sticking to the tile with a soft squeak, and listen as it loops. Anderson Mark? Absent. The curiosity that dragged me here sharpens, urging me closer to the speakers mounted high on the wall, their grills coated in dust that puffs out when I wave my hand near them. I reach the stairwell door, the one marked "Authorized Personnel Only" in faded red paint, chipped from years of shoulders brushing past. The handle is cold, frost-kissed almost, though the building's heat should be pumping steadily through the vents. I turn it, expecting resistance. The lock's been jammed since the remodel in '92, when they sealed the basement after the floodwaters receded, leaving behind warped floorboards and rumors of mold that never quite cleared. But tonight, it gives with a click, swinging inward on oiled hinges that shouldn't be oiled. Stairs descend into shadow, the emergency lights flickering like candles in a draft, and the PA voice follows me down, echoing off the concrete walls. Final call for Voss, Emily. Present? The air grows heavier, textured with the scent of old paper and rust, the kind of basement archive where yearbooks yellow and class schedules fade into irrelevance. Curiosity battles the chill settling in my bones as I descend, each step creaking like chalk on a board. The basement layout is straight from the original blueprints. I've seen them in the admin office, a realistic anchor to this madness. A sprawling sublevel with storage rooms branching off a central corridor, designed in the 50s for civil defense stockpiles, cans of water and blankets now replaced by file cabinets and broken projectors. But tonight, the corridor stretches farther than it should, doors appearing where walls used to be, labeled with room numbers that don't exist anymore. 001. B. Archive of Lost Lessons. The PA announcements grow louder, replaying that 87 attendance call on loop, names distorting slightly each time. Voss becomes Voss SS, drawn out like a hiss. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught, but echoes have a way of insisting. Halfway down the hall, a door stands ajar, light seeping from within, a warm, projector glow yellow that pulses in time with the voices. I push it open, the wood splintering softly under my fingers, and step into what must be the old archive room. Shelves line the walls, crammed with boxes labeled by year. 1980 to 1985, water damage. 1986 to 1990, incomplete. Dust motes dance in the beam from my phone, and in the center sits a wooden table, an ancient PA console perched on it like a relic. Wires snake from it to the wall, long disconnected, yet the speakers hum alive overhead. The attendance replay continues, pulling me closer, the mythic element weaving in. The haunted broadcast, a supernatural staple in school lore, where the PA traps souls in eternal roll call, forcing them to relive their last day until someone answers for them. Emily's name rings out again, and this time, a response whispers back, not from the speakers, but from the shadows behind the shelves. Here. Fear surges then, cold as the basement floor seeping through my shoes, my reflection in a nearby mirror, cracked and spotted with age, showing eyes wider than they should be, mouth agape. I spin toward the sound, beam sweeping, and catch a glimpse, a figure darting between the boxes, small and quick, ponytail swinging. The air tastes metallic now, like biting on foil, and the PA crackles with interference, old radio static mingling with the names. I back toward the table, hand brushing the console, and it jolts under my touch, buttons lighting up, dials spinning on their own. The announcements shift, not absent. Waiting. The room's temperature drops, breath visible in puffs that fog the mirror, and in its reflection, the shelves rearrange, boxes tumbling silently to reveal a hidden alcove. Inside, a locker. Emily's, number 87, door ajar with papers spilling out. Homework assignments dated the day she vanished, graded in red ink that looks fresh. I kneel, textures assaulting me. The rough cardboard of the boxes, the slick gloss of yearbook pages fluttering open to 87's class photo, where Emily's face is circled in chalk dust that matches the board upstairs. The PA booms louder, lesson commencing. Find her. The revelation crashes in like a stairwell door slamming shut. This isn't just a replay. It's a summons, the building using the old system to bridge then and now, pulling me into the loop because I read the board, because I answered the curiosity's call. That same faint music from the announcement speakers filters through again, the fight song warping into a dirge, notes dragging like shoes on rain-soaked tile. Footsteps approach from the corridor outside, deliberate and small, squeaking closer. I bolt up, knocking over a box that spills detention slips from decades past, yellowed edges curling like secrets unfolding. The mirror reflects not just me now, but the alcove filling with shadows, shapes of students long gone, seated at invisible desks, heads bowed over tests they never finished. Fear knots my stomach, but the pull is stronger, the voice is insistent. Voss, Emily? Here. I grab a yearbook, stuff it under my arm, and head for the door, but it swings shut before I reach it, lock clicking like a final bell. The console hums, dials settling on a new frequency, and a new voice emerges. Mine, from earlier tonight. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught. It's recording me, weaving my words into the broadcast. Panic spikes, hands fumbling at the knob, but it won't budge. The footsteps stop outside, a shadow slipping under the doorframe like spilled ink. Revelation deepens in the dim light. The basement isn't sealed. It's a trapdoor to 87, and the PA is the key, replaying to lure the curious, the ones who linger after hours. I pound on the wood, echoes bouncing back amplified through the speakers, my own pleas joining the attendant's call. The mirror cracks further, spiderwebbing across Emily's reflected face, and in the alcove, her locker creaks open wider, inviting. I slide down against the door, yearbook open on my lap, pages turning on their own to blank spreads where names should be, space for new absences. The announcements loop endlessly, pulling me deeper into the archive's silence, where the only way out might be to answer the call myself. The door gives way under my shoulder with a splintering crack that reverberates through the basement corridor, the wood frame groaning like an old locker hinge protesting after years of disuse. I stumble out, yearbook clutched to my chest, its leather cover slick with the cold sweat from my palms, and the PA announcements fade behind me. Voss, Emily? Voss, Emily, distorting into static as if the console's reach ends at the threshold. The stairwell air rushes up to meet me, thicker now, carrying the faint texture of mildew from the flood-damaged walls, the ones they painted over but never truly fixed. I climb 2 steps at a time, shoes thudding softly on the concrete treads, the emergency lights flickering in rhythm with my breath, casting elongated shadows that twist like reflections in warped glass. Up top, the hallway welcomes me back with its familiar hum, the fluorescent bulbs steadying as if nothing happened below. But I know better. The building's pulse has quickened, syncing with mine. I pause at the trophy case again, the glass surface fogged slightly from the temperature shift, my fingerprints from earlier still smudged near the 87 photo. Curiosity draws me closer once more, that persistent tug like flipping through an old yearbook for faces you half remember. I wipe the fog with my sleeve, the fabric dragging across the cool pane, and lean in. The reflections should show the hallway behind me, lockers stretching into dimness, the water fountain dripping steadily, but tonight they don't. Instead, the glass reveals a different corridor, one layered over my own like a double-exposed film in the old darkroom downstairs. Classrooms line this mirrored hall, doors ajar with lights spilling out. But these aren't the rooms I know. They're from before the remodel, the 80s layout with narrower doors and chalkboards instead of smartboards. I blink, and the image sharpens. Room 101 with its original wooden desks, the ones they replaced after the fire drill mishap in '85. Realistic anchor. The school's architecture shifted in '90, expanding the east wing for ADA compliance, sealing off those old classrooms behind drywall that still bulges slightly in humid weather. The mirrored hallway extends endlessly, moonlight from non-existent windows painting the floors in silvery streaks, and figures move within. Shadowy students bent over papers, their movements jerky like an old projector film skipping frames. I press my palm to the glass, the surface vibrating faintly under my touch, humming like the PA wires below. One classroom catches my eye. 204's predecessor, labeled in brass that gleams too brightly. Inside, a girl, Emily, ponytail swaying, sits alone, chalk in hand, writing on a board that mirrors the one upstairs. Her reflection turns toward me, eyes meeting mine through the layers of glass, and she mouths something silent. Find me. The curiosity swells, warm and insistent, pulling me to trace the edges of the case, searching for a latch or seam that isn't there. As I stare deeper, the reflections shift again, classrooms folding into each other like pages in a book rifled by unseen hands. A stairwell appears at the end of this impossible hall, descending not to the basement I just escaped, but to something older, the original foundation, rumored to hold the school's first cornerstone from 1952, etched with names of the founding class. Mythic element. The mirror hallway, a supernatural whisper among janitors and late-night subs, where reflections show the building's buried layers, trapping wanderers in loops of what was, classrooms that echo with lessons from vanished students, pulling the living into glass-bound eternity. The trophy case glass warms under my fingers now, pliable almost, like the surface of still water disturbed by a drip. I lean closer, breath fogging it anew, and in the depths, my own reflection alters. My clothes change to an 80s sweater, hair shorter, face younger, as if I'm stepping back into a memory that isn't mine. Fear slips in then, coiling around my throat like the cold chain of a locker combination lock. The hallway behind me, the real one, dims, lights buzzing erratically as if power's being diverted to this mirrored realm. Sounds bleed through the glass, chalk dragging in distant rooms, shoes squeaking on unseen floors, a substitute's voice murmuring equations that echo the board's first message. My reflected self moves without me, turning away to join Emily in that phantom 204, their shadows merging on the wall. I pull back, but my hand sticks slightly, the glass sucking at my skin with a soft pop when I yank free. The yearbook under my arm flutters open on its own, pages riffling to a spread of the old wing, photos showing students posed in those very classrooms, their faces blurred as if erased by time, or something deliberate. The fear sharpens, heart pounding like announcements over the speakers, and I glance down the real hall. The north stairwell door stands open still, basement shadows creeping up like ink, while the side exit remains locked, pushbar unyielding. I back away from the case, sneakers whispering on the tile, but the reflections follow, twisting to track me. Classrooms rotating like a carousel, doors slamming shut in sequence, the sounds muffled yet clear, bang, 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 like lockers during passing period chaos. The moonlight through the windows intensifies, casting my shadow long and thin, merging with the mirrored ones until I can't tell where I end and they begin. Revelation unfolds in the flickering light. These aren't just echoes. The trophy case is a portal, reflecting not light, but time, showing classrooms demolished or sealed, where Emily and others linger, teaching their unfinished lessons to anyone who looks too long. That same faint music from the announcement speakers resurfaces, filtering through the glass now. The fight song slowed to a haunting melody, notes dragging like rain down the panes. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught, especially those that require you to become the student. The glass pulses, a ripple spreading from where my hand touched, and in the mirrored hall, doors begin to open wider, figures stepping out, silhouettes of kids in outdated uniforms, hands outstretched as if inviting me in. One resembles Mr. Halvorsen, the old teacher, his face stern, pointing to a chalkboard scrawled with my name. The real hallway mirrors the motion. A distant door creaks, footsteps approaching from the art wing, squeaking in sync with the reflected ones. Panic urges me to run, but curiosity, damn it, holds me, whispering to look closer, to step through if I could. The yearbook slips from my grasp, thumping to the floor, pages splaying to reveal handwritten notes in the margins. Enter through reflection. The trophy case glass fogs entirely now, my breath or theirs, and shapes press against it from the other side, palms flat, matching mine. The lights overhead stutter, plunging the hall into red emergency glow, and the reflections brighten in contrast, classrooms alive with projector hums and chalk dust clouds. I scoop up the yearbook, edges rough against my fingers, and bolt toward the main corridor, away from the case. But the mirrors don't let go easily. As I pass bulletin boards and water fountains, every reflective surface, polished locker doors, window panes, catches fragments of that hallway, snippets of impossible rooms flickering like bad reception on an old TV in the AV closet. The footsteps behind me quicken, real or echoed. I can't tell, squeaking closer with each turn. Revelation deepens in the chase. The school isn't haunted by ghosts. It's the building itself, using mirrors to fold time, trapping the curious in endless halls where lessons repeat until learned or forgotten forever. I round the corner to the south wing, breath ragged, the PA crackling awake overhead, reflection lesson in progress. The trophy case is far behind, but its glass echoes in every shine, pulling me toward whatever classroom waits in the distortion. I skid around the corner into the south wing, the yearbook slapping against my ribs like a second heartbeat, and the polished floor reflects the ceiling lights in fractured shards, each one a tiny mirror, each one flashing a classroom that shouldn't exist. The footsteps behind me slow, then stop, but the silence feels worse. A held breath before the PA coughs to life. Substitute teacher to room 204. Substitute teacher to room 204. My name isn't said, yet it lands on me like chalk dust in my lungs. The hallway ahead is darker than it should be. The motion sensors refuse to wake, so I run blind, one hand skimming the lockers, cold metal, combination dials catching my fingertips like tiny teeth. The air smells of rain still, but underneath is something sharper. Fresh chalk, wet and powdery, the scent of a board just written on. Room 204's door stands open, a rectangle of pale projector glow spilling onto the tile. I don't remember leaving it that way. I slow, shoes squeaking to a halt, and peer inside. The desks are full. 30 bodies sit upright, heads bowed over blank tests, pencils poised but unmoving. They wear our school colors, maroon and gray, but the cut of the uniforms is wrong. High-waisted skirts, narrow ties. The 1987 yearbook come to life. At the front, beneath the chalkboard, a figure stands with its back to me. Tall, male, chalk in hand. The same looping script crawls across the board, faster than any human could write. Objective: identify the substitute. The figure's shoulders rise and fall in a slow, deliberate breath that fogs the air in front of it. My breath. I feel it leave my chest at the exact same moment. Curiosity flickers first. Who is that? How are they here? But it gutters under the weight of fear. The students don't blink. Their reflections in the windows show empty chairs. The substitute turns. No face, just a smooth oval where features should be, like a mannequin head dusted with chalk. It lifts the chalk and writes my name in the air, letters hanging for a second before drifting down like snow. The class murmurs in perfect unison, a sound like wind through old speakers. Present. I stumble backward into the doorframe, the wood biting into my spine. The projector clicks on behind the substitute, casting a square of light onto the back wall. Grainy footage plays. Me, earlier tonight, pacing this very room, reading the first equation aloud. My own voice leaks from the tinny speaker. Find what was lost in 87. The substitute gestures toward the empty teacher's desk, my desk, and the chair rolls out on its own, wheels squealing like chalk on slate. I want to run, but the hallway behind me has changed. Lockers stretch into infinity, doors rippling like heat haze. The trophy case reflections bleed through the walls, classrooms overlaying classrooms. Emily's ponytail flickering in and out of sight. Realistic anchor. The south wing was added in 1991, built over the old faculty parking lot. The foundation cracks every spring, and the floor tiles lift in perfect diagonals no one bothers to fix. Tonight those cracks glow faintly, red emergency light seeping up as if the building's bones are bruised. Mythic element. The substitute shadow, the rumor that says when a teacher vanishes mid-lesson, the school conjures a replacement from the walls themselves, an outline that steals your place if you watch too long. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught. especially by something that wears your skin like an ill-fitting substitute's blazer. The class turns their heads in unison. 30 necks crack softly. 30 pairs of eyes, milky, unfocused, fix on me. The substitute raises a hand, palm up, and the chalkboard erases itself with a sound like tearing paper. New words appear. Take your seat. The chair at my desk scoots another inch. My legs move before I decide, drawn by the same gravity that pulled me to the board the first night. I cross the threshold. The door swings shut behind me with the gentle finality of a coffin lid. The projector light flares, washing everything white, and for a moment I'm weightless, suspended between the real room and its reflection. Then I'm sitting, pencil in my hand, test in front of me. The questions are simple. When did you first ignore the rules? Who did you leave behind? What will you trade to leave? The students begin to write, pencils scratching in perfect sync. The substitute glides between the rows, shadows stretching longer than physics allows, until it looms over me. Its featureless face tilts. I feel the chalk dust settle on my tongue. My hand moves without permission, filling in answers I don't remember knowing. The bell rings, a sound that isn't a bell, but the PA system screaming my name in reverse. The students stand. Their chairs scrape backward in one metallic shriek. They file past me, each brushing my shoulder with fingers cold as basement air. Emily is last. She pauses, places something on my desk, a hall pass, laminated, dated October 15th, 87. Valid for one exit. The ink is still wet. The substitute reaches for my face. I jerk back, chair toppling, and the room tilts. The projector bulb pops, plunging us into darkness lit only by the chalkboard's faint glow. The words rearrange themselves into a single command: teach. The students are gone. The substitute is gone. I'm alone at the front of the room, chalk in my grip, the board blank and waiting. My reflection in the windows shows the class still seated, watching me with my own eyes. Revelation lands like a dropped textbook. The substitute isn't replacing me. It is me, the version that stayed too long, that answered the call. That same faint music from the announcement speakers swells, no longer the fight song, but a lullaby, slow and minor, the one sung at 8th grade graduation the year Emily vanished. I raise the chalk. My hand shakes. The board hungers. I write the first line of the next lesson before I realize the words aren't mine. Attendance begins now. The door opens on its own. Footsteps approach, real ones, squeaking closer. I turn, chalk poised, and see myself in the doorway, wide-eyed, soaked from the rain, clutching a yearbook I dropped hours ago. The me that was stares at the me that teaches, and the cycle clicks into place like a combination lock finally aligned. I open my mouth to warn him, but the PA steals my voice, broadcasting it back as the next announcement. Welcome to detention. Forever. Word count, 1162. Awaiting continue, 1. 8. Jaya fast continue section 6. The chalk trembles in my fingers, but the board won't let go. My reflection me, the one still standing in the doorway, rain dripping from his hair, stares back with the same terror I felt when the first equation appeared. He mouths my name, or maybe it's a plea, but the PA swallows it, loops it, turns it into static. The students are back in their seats now, though I never saw them return. 30 heads, 30 pencils, 30 tests half finished. The substitute shadow hovers at the edge of my vision, a silhouette cut from the projector's dying light. It doesn't speak, it doesn't need to. The lesson is written in the air between us, thick as chalk dust. Finish what was started in 87. I step forward. The floor tilts under me, not metaphorically. The tiles actually shift, the diagonal cracks from the south wing foundation glowing red like fault lines. Realistic anchor. The building sits on filled dirt from the old riverbed. Every spring the ground settles another quarter-inch, and the maintenance logs, still filed in the office I used to mock, record the same complaint since 1986. South corridor tilts 2 degrees during heavy rain. Tonight the tilt is steeper. My shoes slide. The yearbook lies open at my feet, pages flapping like trapped birds. Emily's hall pass flutters on top, the wet ink bleeding into the word exit until it's unreadable. Curiosity is gone. Only fear remains, and beneath it, the revelation that's been building all night. The school didn't lose Emily. It kept her. Kept all of them. The flood, the sealed stairwell, the bricked-up archive. None of it was cleanup. It was containment. Mythic element. The final exam, whispered by every senior who ever skipped detention. A test the building gives when someone stays too long, demanding payment in years, in memories, in the space behind your eyes where your own reflection used to live. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught, but this one demands a teacher. The substitute shadow raises its arm. The chalkboard behind me erupts in fresh script, faster than thought. Final exam. Question 1. Name the student who opened the west stairwell on October 15th, 87. Question 2. Name the teacher who closed it. Question 3. Name the price. My reflection me lunges forward, grabs my wrist. His skin is warm, alive, still smelling of rain and the world outside. Don't write, he hisses. Break the board. But the chalk is fused to my palm now, warm as bone. The students chant in perfect monotone. Answer. 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 Their voices layer with the PA, with the warped lullaby, with every announcement ever made in this building. The projector flickers back to life, showing the west stairwell door, the one bricked over after the flood, standing open in 1987. A younger Mr. Halvorson herds students down, flashlight beam jittering. Emily hesitates at the top, hall pass in hand. She looks straight into the camera, straight into me, and mouths the same word my reflection just spoke. Break. The shadow lunges. I swing the yearbook like a club. It connects with the chalkboard, spine cracking, pages exploding in a white cloud. The impact jars my teeth. For one heartbeat, the room freezes. Students mid-chant, shadow mid-reach, PA mid-syllable. Then the board shatters. Not dramatically, no explosion of light or thunder. Just a soft, exhausted sigh, like air leaving a punctured tire. The chalk script dissolves into dust that swirls upward, forming the outline of the west stairwell door. Brick by brick, the wall unbuilds itself in reverse. The students stand, chairs scraping, and file toward the opening. Emily pauses beside me. Up close, she's solid, cold, her cardigan damp from floodwater that never dried. She presses the hall pass into my free hand. The ink has reformed, valid forever. One use. The shadow screams, a sound like every locker slamming at once, and lunges again. My reflection me shoves me aside. We tumble through the doorway together, into the stairwell that shouldn't exist. The bricks reseal behind us with the finality of a vault. Darkness swallows us, but it's a clean dark, smelling of river mud and old concrete, not chalk. We climb. The steps are real, worn smooth by decades of feet. Halfway up, the yearbook crumbles to ash in my arms. Emily's voice drifts down from above. Hurry. The bell's about to ring. We burst into the main hall. Dawn light, real dawn, filters through the windows, pale and watery. The trophy case is just glass again, reflecting an empty corridor. The PA is silent. My reflection me is gone, but I feel him inside my skin, a second pulse. The side door stands open. Rain finally stopped, the parking lot steaming in the early sun. I step outside. The air tastes like cut grass and exhaust. My phone buzzes, 6:47 a.m. One new notification, a video I don't remember uploading, titled Midnight Hallways, full story. The thumbnail is the chalkboard, blank. I walk to my car. The hall pass is still in my hand, laminated edges warm now. I slide it into my pocket. Behind me, the building exhales one long, slow breath, and the doors lock with a soft click. I don't look back. I think some lessons were never meant to be taught, but some doors, once opened, stay open just enough. The fluorescent hum has settled into its daytime rhythm, steady and indifferent. Wind moves through the open windows of the art wing, lifting bulletin board flyers that curl like tired eyelids. Papers flutter across empty desks, detention slips, permission forms, a single quiz with no name. The chalkboard in 204 is clean, but if you press your ear to it at 3:33 p.m., you can hear